What's up, guys? We're back with a big day of MLB and NBA playoff action here on Tuesday, April 30th. We had a solid bounce back day here, guys, on Monday. Thank God, we really needed it. The Yankees did let us down. That was pretty crazy to see them go from scoring 15 runs a game to scoring 0 and losing 2-0. But other than that, things looked pretty good. We had the Chicago Cubs plus 110. That one came through. The Twins continued their winning streak. We got them minus 162. That's another win on the board. The Phillies were up 4-0 at one point and ended up losing that game 6-5. So that was disappointing. But we finished things off strong with a win on the Cincinnati Reds minus 104. So that's a winning day. We'll put that one on the board. So things are looking pretty good for us. Let's get after it with a big Tuesday slate in MLB and some NBA playoff action. But first, everyone congratulate Anthony Cassidy 3716 for winning the Stump the Spread hoodie giveaway. Go ahead and answer back on your comment in the giveaway video and we'll arrange to get that hoodie out to you. Let's take a second and hit that like button to show some support to the channel and all the work we're putting in every single day. If you're new, go ahead and subscribe. It's 100% free and can keep you from missing out on these picks. We're pushing hard to make it to 20,000 subscribers by the end of the month. So by the end of this video, we need around a little less than 200 subscribers to make that dream a reality. So help us make it to that milestone. Our videos are sponsored by StumpTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there and join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Comment below with all the bets you're looking at today. We will give you our best advice on all of them. We respond to absolutely every single comment. So let us know anything you want to say about my picks, these videos, or anything you see here. As always, our final picks will be down in the pinned comment below. Now let's get into our first game of the day. We've got the New York Yankees going up against the Baltimore Orioles. The Yankees come into this game fresh off a pretty disappointing game one of this series, guys. They got shut out by the Orioles. That is not something we saw coming. Scoring 0 runs after you scored 30 runs combined over your last 2 games. That is a pretty epic offensive fall off right there. You're falling off a cliff if that's going on. But the Yankees can't be too upset. They're 19-11 on the season. They're hitting the ball in this game to Nestor Cortez, hoping that he can kind of keep things going. He's 1-2 with a 3.50 ERA. He comes into this game fresh off a 7-inning performance against the Oakland Athletics. He's actually gone 7 innings in each of his last 2 games. Against the A's, he did give up 3 earned runs. He gave up 2 home runs, which is a little bit concerning, especially going up against an A's team, that's not really elite offensively. In the start before that, he also faced kind of a weak opponent, the Tampa Bay Rays. He gave up 6 hits, 0 runs over 7 innings of work, and he had 9 strikeouts in that one. So his control has looked dazzling over the last 2 games, 0 strikeouts over 14 innings. So we can feel very, very good about how Cortez is pitching right now. And the Yankees offense, while they looked terrible yesterday, has been trending in a positive direction. I mean, they scored 36 runs in their series against the Milwaukee Brewers. That's definitely qualifies as an offensive outburst, guys. This team, they're just climbing up the standings like we would expect them to. They're 6th in the majors in terms of runs scored now, thanks in a large part to those crazy games against the Brewers, but they're 3rd in team on-base percentage. Their on-base percentage numbers have been good all season long. We're seeing Aaron Judge start to hit the ball. Just in general, the Yankees are hitting the ball much better. Team batting average is 8th in the majors, over 250 now. Team slugging percentage is 8th in the majors at 410, so this is a group that's starting to hit the ball a little bit better, and while they had a down day on Monday, I think we can pretty solidly expect them to bounce back and hit the ball a little bit better here on Tuesday, and they're going to need to do that going up against an Orioles team who's now 18-10 on the season and is off to a 1-0 start in this series. They're going to be handing the ball in this game to Dean Kremer, who's off to a so-and-so start to the season. He's 1-2 with a 4.61 ERA. His last time out, he looked good against the Angels, but that's not exactly a massive accomplishment right now. 5 1/3 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs. He gave up a home run. He did have 10 strikeouts in that game, so that could be a little bit scary for a Yankees team that tends to be a little bit susceptible to striking out, but he's had some control issues. He only had 1 walk in that game against the Angels, but in the game for that, he had 3 walks and 3 strikeouts against the Kansas City Royals in a game that we saw the Orioles lose 9-4, so not exactly what they were looking for in that one. He only gave up 3 earned runs, but did give up a home run in that game, and the game before that, guys, he got absolutely obliterated by the Milwaukee Brewers, so we don't know exactly what we're going to be getting from this guy, but he's looked serviceable, we'll say, for right now. Leading up to this game, at least, the Orioles come into this one. Their bats haven't looked too crazy. I mean, guys, they lost a series to the Oakland Athletics. That's not what you're supposed to be doing. But over the course of this year, this offense has been very, very good. They're 3rd in the majors in terms of runs scored, 5th in the majors in batting average. They're actually 1st in the majors right now, guys, in team slugging percentage. So this is definitely a team that we expect to find a way to put up some runs, just generally speaking, this season, even though they haven't looked like fantastic here recently, but that's a very tiny sample size, so we expect them to get things figured out here, but that could be tough going up against Nestor Cortez. There's a reason the Yankees are favored in this game. They're minus 115 in this one. The Orioles are plus 104. We're looking at an over-under of 9 in this game, so kind of a big number. The odds makers are expecting some offense in this game, which is a little bit weird coming off of a start to this series where we saw very, very little offense. I guess they're just playing the averages here, assuming that the offenses will come back alive. Guys, this is a close one. I don't think this is going to make it into our pinned comment plays, but we like the Yankees again today. It feels kind of bad after they got shut out yesterday, but surely those bats have to awaken a little bit. We like Nestor Cortez out there on the mound. I think that's a solid pitching edge to the Yankees. I don't have a ton of faith here in Dean Kremer. I mean, the guy's had trouble with teams like the Royals at times this season, so going up against the Yankees, a whole different ball game. So we'll see what he does. Will this be in our pinned comment play? I don't really know. We'll have to check back later for that one. Next up, guys, we have the Kansas City Royals going on the road to take on the Toronto Blue Jays. The Royals come into this game. They're now on a 3-game losing streak after losing 6-5 to the Blue Jays in the first game of this series. We've seen the Royals get off to a decent start. They're 17-13 on the year, but a big reason they lost that game, game 1 of this series, we saw Salvador Perez, their best hitter and their starting catcher, sit that game out. So not a great look. It was back tightness, so we'll have to keep a very close eye on his availability here for game 2 of this series. I think it seems at least slightly likely that he'll play. I would assume that would just be a 1-game absence type situation, but no way to know for sure. The Royals are hitting the ball in this into Cole Rangans. He comes into this game 1-2 with a 3.90 ERA, fresh off of a very good start against the Toronto Blue Jays, but it was in that weird game where we had the Blue Jays in that game. It actually ended up ending in 5 innings due to weather, but we did see Rangans pitch well in that one. 5 innings of work, only a single run, 3 hits, 4 walks, and 3 strikeouts, so pretty decent there. His game before that was terrible, though he got shelled by the Baltimore Orioles, but definitely bounced back well, and he's looked pretty decent this season just in general. So definitely a major hiccup there against the Orioles, but he seems like he's back on track now. Can we say that the Royals offense is back on track, though? That seems like a bit of a stretch. I mean, they did score 5 runs without their best hitter, so I guess that's not terrible. They're 13th in the majors in runs scored. They're not a great on-base percentage team, though, guys, and that gives me a lot of concern. It makes me feel like they've been getting a little bit lucky with their run scoring this season. They're 22nd in the majors in team batting average. Like, aside from Salvador Perez, there aren't a ton of guys hitting the cover off the ball for them right now. They're going to need to score some runs here going up the Toronto Blue Jays, who seem like they're starting to hit the ball a little bit better. They scored 6 runs in game 1 of this series. We saw Justin Turner have 2 home runs, so that's pretty wild. Jansen also looked pretty good at the plate, so they're going to hope that they can get a solid start here out of Jose Barrios, who's off to a very, very good start to his season. He's 4-1 with a 1.23 ERA, coming off of a very good start against the Royals. 5 innings, 2 earned runs, so maybe not an elite start, but I think they can feel pretty decent hitting in the ball and knowing that he's got some experience here against this team. He was on the wrong side of that 2-1 loss that the Blue Jays took there back on the 25th, where we saw that game get cut short due to rain. So this is basically just a pitching rematch. In that one, he looked good. He gave up 2 earned runs and a home run. He did have 3 walks, which is a bit of a concern, but definitely a weird start, a weird situation overall. Looking at the Blue Jays hitting right now, it's seemingly getting a little bit better. I mean, they've won 2 in a row now after that 5-game losing streak. They did lose 3 of 4 to the Royals. It seems like they're pretty determined to not let that happen again, winning game 1 of this series. Obviously, Justin Turner hitting the absolute cover off the ball right now. We've seen their hitting, it definitely hasn't been up to the level we would expect it to be this season, but it's getting a little bit better. They're still only 26th in the majors in runs scored, 23rd in slugging percentage, but they're 19th in on-base percentage, and that's a number that's trending in a positive direction. So I think we can feel okay about where this team is headed right now. Guys, we're going to be taking the Blue Jays in this game. I'm not 100% sure if it'll be a pinned comment play, but I think there's a decent chance. We're going to be monitoring the availability here of Salvador Perez. If he's going to be sitting this game out, we will definitely be on the Blue Jays. The Royals just lack offense without him in there, and I think it was kind of a miracle that they scored 5 runs in game 1 of this series. I don't think they'll be doing that here against Barrios, who's been a very good start of this season, and while he didn't look amazing in his last start against the Royals, I'm expecting big things from him in this one. So give me the Blue Jays minus 130, and definitely lock this up as a pinned comment play. And we see that Salvador Perez is going to be sitting this game out. Also looking at the over-under in this game, we see it's a very low number. It's 7.5, but the Royals are 7-3-2 to the under when playing on the road, and we see Toronto is 8-4 to the under when playing at home. So if you wanted to take a little glance at that under, I guess I wouldn't blame you, but it's too small of a number for me. I won't be on it. Next up, guys, we get the Chicago Cubs going on the road to take on the New York Mets. The Cubs come into this game fresh off that Game 1 win. They won 3-1. We had the Cubs in that game, so that felt pretty good. Thanks for coming through for us in that one, Cubbies. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Javier Assad. He's 2-0 on the season with a 2.00 ERA. He looks very, very good coming into this game against the Houston Astros. His last time out, he went 5 2/3, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts, and 1 walk. That's even better than his start against the Marlins, where he gave up only a single run in that one. He hasn't given up more than 2 earned runs in any of his starts this season, and while he hasn't pitched against an exact murderer's row of opponents, he's looked very, very good here in the early goings. The Cubs' offense in general is looking decent. I mean, it did take them a long time to come up with those 3 runs in Game 1 of this series, but they scored 4 runs in their last game of the series against the Boston Red Sox, and they're going to be looking to bounce back from kind of an ugly series in that one. We see the Cubs are 7th in the majors in terms of runs scored. They're 9th in the majors in team on base percentage, so that's a very solid number. Definitely something we like to see. Slugging percentage is looking fine. Team batting average is looking fine. Like, nothing incredible to report there, but as long as you can keep those on-base percentage numbers up, I think you can fairly safely assume that eventually, if not immediately, good things are going to follow for that offense. They're going to need to keep putting up some offense here going up against the Mets, but the Mets are not having a great time right now. They've lost 3 of their last 4 overall, and they're down to 14-14 on the season. They're handing the ball in this game to Sean Manaea. He comes into this one. He's 1-1 with a 3.33 ERA. His last time out against the Giants, he only went 4 2/3 innings, but he only gave up 4 hits. He did have 4 walks in that game, and control has been an issue for this guy all season long. He's walked 4, 3, 3, 2, and 2 hitters in his 5 starts this year, so you can guarantee that he's going to be giving out some free passes, or at least that's what it looks like so far. He did have a pretty decent start against the LA Dodgers, which is impressive. I mean, 5 innings of work, giving up only 2 earned runs, and that is not bad, especially when you walked 2 hitters, so not a terrible starter to be putting out there on the mound, but I don't think he's necessarily going to fall into the category of elite for me, at least not right now, and neither is the Mets offense. They've been struggling pretty bad recently. In their series against the Cardinals, the most runs they scored in that entire series was 4 runs, and the Cardinals are not exactly an elite team. They only managed 1 run in Game 1 of this series. We haven't seen any of their hitters really get off to amazing starts. I mean, Pete Alonso does have 8 home runs, but in general, they are 11th in the majors in terms of on-base percentage, so that is a positive indicator like we were just talking about, but their slugging percentage is pretty low, team batting average is pretty low, and their runs scored is just straight up average, so I think at best the Mets are an average offensive team right now, so we're not going to exactly freak out about that. And looking at the numbers for this game, guys, it looks like there's a solid chance we're going to be on the Cubs again. Chicago is plus 115 in this game, and I see them as having the advantage here in the pitching matchup. The Mets are minus 130, but I don't really like their chances here in this game. I mean, their offense is slumping, and obviously they're going to have a good game eventually, but I don't think it's really going to come here against Javier Assad. And looking at the over-under in this game, it's 7.5. There are definitely still some 8s out there, though, and both teams are showing at least some trends to the under. Chicago's 8-7-1 to the under when playing on the road. The Mets are 10-6 to the under at home, so I guess if you wanted to find one of those 8s and take under 8, that'd be fine with me, but we're going to be taking the Chicago Cubs plus 115 in this one. Taking them to win twice in a row, I guess that's okay with me. We'll see what they can do, but this is very likely to be a pinned comment play, I'm pretty sure. Moving right along here, we've got the San Francisco Giants going on the road to take on the Boston Red Sox. The Giants come into this game fresh off of a series win against the Pittsburgh Pirates. They won that series 2-1. The last game of that series was 3-2, so definitely a close one. They're going to be hitting the ball in this one to Logan Webb. He's 3-1 to start the season with a 2.33 ERA, so definitely a solid start to the year from him. He's coming off of an 8-run, 6-hit performance against the New York Mets, where he gave up no runs, had 1 walk and 4 strikeouts in that one, so looked very good. And just in general this season, he's been looking fantastic. He hasn't allowed a run in either of his last 2 starts. He went 7 innings of 2-hit ball against the Arizona Diamondbacks, so the Giants have to be feeling fantastic here with Webb out there on the mound. Their offense, on the other hand, has not looked great this season or even great recently, even in their little winning stretch here. They've scored 3 runs in their series against the Pirates. 3 runs a game, that's going to make a lot of pressure on your pitchers, and it's going to make it pretty hard to be winning games. There's a reason the Giants are only 14-15 on the year, and I'm going to lay a lot of that blame on their offense. They're only 14th in the majors in team batting average, 18th in the majors in on-base percentage, not very good in the slugging percentage or run score department. They've only scored 116 runs. That's 19th in the majors. This just isn't a team that you can count on to put up a lot of offense, and maybe that's not super shocking here, but they're going to need to find a way to score some runs going up against the Boston Red Sox, who actually come into this game playing pretty well. They've won 2 in a row. They scored 17 runs. They won 17-0 against the Cubs in Game 2 of that series, and then they won Game 3 5-4. So this is a team that's hitting the ball a little bit right now. They're handing the ball in this game to Cooper Criswell. He's 1-1 with a 2.38 ERA, so no complaints about how he started this season off. His last time out against the Cleveland Guardians, he went 5 innings, gave up only 3 hits and had 3 strikeouts, no walks, no runs allowed. Against the Cleveland Guardians, that's pretty solid, and it's a game we saw the Red Sox win 8-0. He's actually made 2 starts this season against Cleveland. The first start did not go nearly as well. I mean, he had 1 walk. He only lasted 2 1/3, though, and it wasn't even a start. Take that back, guys. It wasn't a start. That was a bullpen appearance. So regardless, though, he's looked serviceable. There are definitely some question marks still, and I mean, how well suited he's gonna feel, how comfortable is he in the starting role right now? We're just gonna have to see. Definitely a little bit of a question mark for me, but also not somebody we have no faith in, that's for sure. And we all know about the Red Sox pitching injuries. They've been just trying to cobble things together at this point. And the Red Sox offense, while they've been picking things up here lately, hasn't necessarily been elite this season, although they are 12th in the majors in on-base percentage and 10th now in the majors in terms of runs scored. I mean, obviously that 17-run outburst definitely helped them jump a lot of spots in those numbers. They're 12th in team batting average. They are 7th in slugging percentage. I mean, playing at Fenway definitely helps those numbers a little bit. But just in general, I think we feel positive about the direction the Red Sox offense is going right now, but are we positive enough feeling about it to take them when they're going up against Logan Webb? I don't know, guys. It seems a little bit tough. Looking at the numbers for this game, the Giants are only -130. The Red Sox are +110, and we've got an over-under of 8.5. We do see that San Francisco is 10-3 to the over when playing on the road. That's an MLB best mark on the road against the over-under, so that's kind of interesting. And we see the Red Sox are 6-5-2 to the over when playing at home, so if you wanted to take a taste of the over, I suppose that's okay with me, but in this pitching matchup, I don't really love it. I think we're just going to be siding with the Giants in this one. I don't have a ton of faith here in the Red Sox bats. I think they're due for a bad night, and I don't have that much faith here in Cooper Criswell, but guys, this is not going to be one of our key plays. I don't have enough faith in either side on this one to be putting it down there in the pinned comment. So give me the Giants as a slight lean and take a little bit of the over if you want, but I'm going to be off of this one. Next up, guys, we have the Minnesota Twins going on the road to take on the Chicago White Sox. We saw the Twins get a very close 3-2 win in Game 1 of this series. We had the Twins straight up in that one, so we'll definitely take it. Thanks for coming through on that one, the Twins. They are the hottest team in baseball right now. They've won 8 straight games. They are just killing it right now. They're handing the ball in this one to Simeon Woods-Richardson. He comes into this game 1-0. They have 2.45 ERA. It's only his 3rd start of the year, but he's looked pretty good here in the early goings. Although we do see a little bit of a concern for us in his last start, which was against the Chicago White Sox. He went 5 innings. He gave up 7 hits to the Chicago White Sox. That's not exactly what you want. But he did manage to pitch out of trouble a little bit. He gave up only 2 runs in that outing. He had 6 strikeouts and 1 walk. He definitely needed those strikeouts, it felt like to me. And in his first start of the year against the Detroit Tigers, he got off to a fantastic start. 6 innings, only 1 run allowed, 2 hits. So we don't have any complaints really about how he's looked this season. It's just a slightly concerning trend with how he pitched there against the White Sox. The Twins have been hitting the ball better, not so much really in Game 1 of this series, obviously only scoring 3 runs, but things have been trending in a positive direction. They're up around league average in most of the major numbers. They are 9th in slugging percentage, so that's nice, but they're 15th or 16th in the majors with a 315 on base percentage. They're 15th in the majors with 124 runs scored, so things are starting to come together. We see Correa coming off the IL. Stuff is starting to come together a little bit for this Twins team. They're only 15-13 on the year, so we're not exactly going to throw them a parade yet, but things are going a whole lot better for them than they're going for the Chicago White Sox, who are only 6-23 on the season and had their little 3-game winning streak snapped there. They were taking advantage of the just disaster area that is the Tampa Bay Rays, but in Game 1 of this series against the Twins, they fell right back into losing, and they're going to be handing the ball in this game to Michael Soroka, who is 0-3 with a 6.83 ERA. Not what you're looking for there, guys. He's given up at least 1 home run in every start of the season. His last time out against the Twins, he gave up 2 home runs, only 4 hits over 5 innings, so I guess you can feel positive about that. But he had 2 walks and only 1 strikeout. Just not an elite outing for him. I don't feel very confident in this guy at all, and it'd be tough for me to feel less confident here in the Chicago White Sox bats, which have just been atrocious all season. They only scored 2 runs in Game 1 of this series. I mean, they did touch up the Twins starting pitcher for some hits in his second outing of the season, but guys, they've only scored 77 runs this season. That's dead last in the majors, and they're basically dead last in every major offensive category. Not something I see changing here anytime soon. We don't have any major hitting streaks going for anybody on their team. Nobody's gotten off to a hot start. This is just a squad that's going to have a hard time hitting the ball, and I think they're going to have a very hard time hitting the ball in this one. So we're very, very likely going to be on the Minnesota Twins minus 165 in this one. Guys, we may just ride this out until they finally lose a game. Like, they've won 8 in a row, and it's just looking really good for them right now. They're going up against a terrible opponent, giving the Minnesota Twins minus 165 in this one. If you want to take a look at the over-under, it's currently at 9. So, guys, I would definitely be on the under in this game. That could actually be one of our core plays as well. I don't usually like to do 2 core plays on like one game, but neither one of these teams are offensive powerhouses. And while I don't have any faith here in Soraka, I don't have a ton of faith in the Twins bats, even though they've been slightly resurgent, and 9 is a big number. So I'm definitely leaning towards under 9, but I'm in a bigger way leaning towards Minnesota minus 165. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the matchup between the Cleveland Guardians and the Houston Astros. Cleveland comes into this game fresh off of a kind of disappointing, probably for them, series against the Atlanta Braves, where they only went 1-2. They lost that series, but it was a very, very tight, close series between 2 of the best teams in baseball, so I really don't think they have anything to feel bad about. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Carlos Carrasco. This veteran right-hander is off to a 1-2 start on the season with a 4.63 ERA. He's making his 6th start in this one, and his last time out, guys, things did not go great. He got knocked around pretty aggressively by the Boston Red Sox. It was his 2nd start in a row against the Red Sox, and his first start against them went pretty well, but the second one just not looking so hot. In general, though, this season, he's looked serviceable, like, for sure. I don't have a ton of complaints. I think they're getting what they would have expected or hoped for from somebody that's his age and at his stage in his career, but they're going to need him to pitch pretty well. I mean, the Guardians' offense has been very, very good, but they've hit a little bit of a rough patch here over, we'll say, like, the last 5-ish games. I mean, they got shut out by the Red Sox, and they scored 6 runs. They only scored 2, 4, and 3 runs against the Atlanta Braves, so kind of a tough time there. We definitely expect this to be a team that can score some runs for sure. I mean, they're 10th in the majors in terms of on-base percentage, 8th in the majors in runs scored, 10th in the majors in team batting average. We see Steven Kwan off to a good start. We see Josh Naylor off to a good start. Jose Ramirez is hitting the ball well. Like, this team is not in a bad spot hitting the ball. They're not a bad offensive team at all. So we expect them to like bust out of this little mini slump at some point for sure. It'll be interesting to see if they do it here against the Houston Astros, who come into this game only 9-19 on the season, but they have won their last 2 in a row, and they're hitting the ball on this one to Hunter Brown. They're going to really need him to turn things around in a drastic way. He's 0-4 in the season with a 9.68 ERA. He does come into this game fresh off of 2 pretty reasonable starts. I mean, his last time out against the Washington Nationals, so not exactly an elite opponent. He gave up 3 earned runs in 4 innings, so I kind of guess I take back that like he's doing a little bit better, but that's better than what he was doing, guys. I mean, in the start before that, he gave up only 2 earned runs to the Atlanta Braves in 6 innings, so that's probably his best start of the season, but the start before that, he couldn't make it out of the first inning against the Kansas City Royals, giving up 9 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning, so kind of a disaster there. He's a young guy. Things can change for sure. I don't really trust him too much in this one, though, and I also don't really trust the Astros bats. I mean, just not having a great time. They've had all kinds of guys slumping. Jose Altuve has really been the one like trying to hold this together, but the Astros, they maintain that solid on-base percentage. Their team on-base percentage is .329, which is 5th in the majors, so I think we can expect them to start scoring some runs. It's just felt like kind of maybe some bad luck here. I mean, if you're 3rd in the majors in team batting average, 6th in the majors in slugging percentage, and 5th in the majors in team on-base percentage, but then you've only scored 122 runs this year, which puts you 17th in the big leagues, like, you're definitely like you're due for some regression towards like positive regression, like towards them scoring more runs. So we do think we'll see the Houston Astros eventually score some more runs, but are they going to be doing that in this game? The odds makers certainly think so. They've got Houston minus 145, so they trust what they're seeing right now from Hunter Brown. I don't really know that I do, but I also don't trust what I'm seeing from Carlos Carrasco. So this is probably going to be a game that I stay away from the side just in general. I mean, I tend to lean towards the Cleveland Guardians just because they're the so much better team overall, and they're plus 130, but really, do they have the better in this pitching matchup? It's hard to know. Looking at the over-under in this game, we see their 9s and 9.5s out there. Cleveland is basically a 500 over-under team when they're playing on the road. Houston has been 8-4-1 to the under when playing at home, but like we've talked about, they're definitely due for some offensive like regression towards like what they should be given the numbers that they're putting up right now. So we'll have to see on that one. I'm probably going to be staying away from this, guys. If you're forcing me to give you a bet on this game, though, I'll take the Cleveland Guardians plus 130 as just a flyer. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Philadelphia Phillies going on the road to take on the Los Angeles Angels. In game one of this series, they're currently in just finishing up the fifth inning. We've got the Phillies up 4-2, and they were one of our core plays, so we hope they can hold on to that or increase their lead and definitely hold on and get us that win. The Phillies are handing the ball in this one to Spencer Turnbull. He's off to a fantastic start, guys. He's 2-0 with a 1.33 ERA. Coming into this game, he's fresh off of a game where we actually saw the Phillies lose. It's the first game they've lost that he started this season, but it wasn't really his fault. He went 5 innings, gave up only a single earned run on a home run. They were playing at Cincinnati, so playing in the Great American Ballpark, definitely a pretty tough look. He had 8 strikeouts and 3 walks in that game. Like, he did not have a bad outing whatsoever, and he's just been pitching great this season in general. Have to feel very good about how he's looking, and the Phillies have to be pretty happy with where they're at right now. They're 19-10 on the season, or they were 19-10 coming into their game that's currently going on. They've seen their hitters look pretty decent here out of the, maybe not out of the gate, but pretty decent lately here. They're 6th in team batting average, 7th in team on-base percentage in the majors, 5th in team slugging percentage. We've seen Kyle Schwarber hit 7 home runs, but his batting average is all the way down to 200. So maybe we won't throw him a parade about that quite yet. But in general, we have to feel good about how the Phillies are hitting the ball. They need to keep putting up some runs here, going up against the Angels, who are not having a great time. They're all the way down to 10-18 on the season. Like, this is just a tough look for them. They lost 4 in a row coming into the game 1 of this series. They got swept by the Minnesota Twins. Not exactly the kind of team you want to be getting swept by, but if you're the Angels, you have to be getting used to that kind of stuff happening to you at this point. They're handing the ball to Tyler Anderson, who's doing all he can really to stem the tide. He's off to a good start to the year. He's only 2-3, but his ERA is 1.78, so the guy is just not getting any run support. I mean, against the Baltimore Orioles, he gave up only 2 earned runs over 5 innings. Playing at Cincinnati, or pitching at Cincinnati, 7 innings, only 1 earned run in that one. Like, he's doing all he can, but we've seen the Angels lose his last 3 starts. He's been going deep into games. Like, he's trying to do whatever he can to give his team a chance, but the Angels' bats are just not good enough. There's no way around it. Mike Trout's hit 10 home runs, but he's only batting .226 on the season, so not exactly killing it. They're 21st in the majors in terms of on-base percentage, 19th in the majors in slugging percentage. Like, just no good numbers here for the Angels offense. I don't expect big things from them this season, or right now, or just in general. I mean, Spencer Turnbull's off to a fantastic start to the season, so it makes sense that we see the Phillies as significant favorites. Again, they're minus 130 in this one. The Angels are plus 120, and we see an over-under in this game of 9, which seems pretty high to me given the kind of numbers that we're seeing from these teams hitting the ball right now. We see the Phillies are 9-3-1 to the under when they're playing on the road. That's an MLB best to the under when on the road number. We see the Angels are 7-5 to the over at home, so I guess that's something to look at, but we're also seeing neither team really hitting the cover off the ball in this game right now, but it's not a terrible offensive game where you think there's going to be a big bounce back. So guys, I like the Phillies minus 130 in this game a good amount, but I also really like under 9. I think under 9 might actually be my favorite play on this game. It has a decent chance to make it into our pinned comment. The Phillies are hitting the ball a decent amount. Like, they're hitting the ball better here than they were at the beginning of the season, that's for sure, but I have no faith here in the Angels offense. I have tons of faith here in Turnbull and Anderson, so give me under 9. I don't think we see that much offense in this game. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Atlanta Braves going on the road to take on the Seattle Mariners. Atlanta and Seattle are playing right now. It's 0-0 in the bottom of the 6th inning, so we are seeing extremely low scoring, not highly offensive game. The Braves come into this one, they're 19-7 on the season. They've won 4 out of their last 5, or 5 out of the last 6 overall, and they're handing the ball in this one to Reynaldo Lopez. He's 2-0 with a .72 ERA. The guy is absolutely dealing here out of the gate. His last time out against the Marlins, he went 7 innings, gave up only a single run on 3 hits, had 6 strikeouts and 2 walks. He did give up a home run in that game, so that's unfortunate, but it's the first home run he's given up this season, and he's made 4 starts, and he's faced some decent offensive teams like the Astros and the Mets. His opening game of the season, it was against the Chicago White Sox. He looked very, very good in that one, and we've seen the Braves win 3 out of his 4 starts, or win the game in 3 out of his 4 starts, so we can definitely feel very positive about that, and we can feel good about the Braves offense, although obviously it's not looking fantastic in their game right now. I mean, no runs scored through 6 innings isn't ideal, but they've been a good offensive team this season. They're 2nd in the majors in on-base percentage. Marcell Ozuna's gotten off to an amazing start. I mean, he's cooled off a little bit, I guess, but like 9 home runs, 31 RBIs, and the dude's still batting .340. Like, he can calm down a little bit, and we're not going to exactly be throwing him under the bus. They're 1st in the majors in batting average, 2nd in the majors in slugging percentage. This is just a team that can pile up some runs, and they're going to hope to start doing that here against Seattle Mariners, who at 15-13 on the season have climbed out of an early season hole. They did not get off to a fast start. They're going to be handing the ball in this one to Luis Castillo. He's off to a 2-4 start on the season with a 4.15 ERA, but he's been looking pretty good here lately. His last time out against the Texas Rangers, he went 6 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, but he gave up 2 home runs, and he's shown a propensity to give up the long ball a little bit this season, but not a drastic amount, so I guess we're not going to freak out about that. He didn't look amazing against Chicago Cubs. He didn't look amazing against the Cleveland Guardians, so he's kind of been taking advantage of some weaker offensive opponents to put up these good numbers, so we'll have to see what he can do here against a very good hitting Atlanta Braves team, and you can't really count on getting a lot of run support here if you're a Seattle Mariners starter. The Mariners are 25th in the majors in runs scored, 26th in the majors in team on-base percentage with an on-base percentage of under 300. That is not going to really get the job done, guys. I mean, they're 27th in batting average. They don't have anybody like significantly leading the way for their offense or like setting the table for anybody, so not a lot of positives here to find for the Mariners offense. And looking at the numbers for this game, we see a pretty reasonable price here for the Atlanta Braves right now. It's Atlanta minus 126. I think we're very interested in that. I mean, I know Seattle's been playing a little bit better lately, but you can see their offense isn't tearing it up. You can see that Lopez is off to a fantastic start to his season, so go ahead and give me the Braves. I've got way more faith in their offense. I don't have any interest here in the over-under. It's at 7. We do see Seattle as a massive under team when playing at home, but I'm not going for that, guys. Go ahead and give me Atlanta to just win this game straight up. I've got a lot of faith in them right now. Moving right along here, guys, we're looking at the LA Dodgers going on the road to take on the Arizona Diamondbacks. Right now, these two teams are playing, and they're in the top of the 5th inning. We've got the Dodgers are up 6-1 in the top of the 5th, so can feel pretty decent about the Dodgers' chances in this game, and you've been able to feel pretty decent about their chances in pretty much every game this season. They're 18-12 on the year, and they're handing the ball in this one to Landon Knack. He's off to a 1-1 start with a 3.27 ERA, and his last time out, actually both of his starts this season have been against the Nationals, so you have to take those numbers with a little bit of a grain of salt because you're going up against one of the not too good offensive teams here in the majors right now. Although, give him credit. His last time out, 6 innings, 2 earned runs on 3 hits. He did have 3 walks, but 5 strikeouts, so not a bad start. And he's only making his 3rd start of the season, so he definitely is. Looks like he's settling in here and not necessarily regressing or anything like that. Like, he should be getting stronger going into these games. And when you've got the Dodgers offense behind you, that can make things feel pretty nice. We've got Mookie Betts. He's making a charge here to get his batting average over 400. The guy is absolutely killing it right now. Shohei Ohtani is off to a great start. He's not letting that whole gambler, interpreter, drama, conspiracy theory, all that stuff. Doesn't seem like he's getting under his skin. He's batting .336 with 7 home runs and 18 RBIs in the early going. So this is basically the best offensive team in baseball right now, guys. They scored 158 runs, which is first. Team on base percentage is .351, which is first. They are second in team batting average, I guess. So I guess if you want to nitpick, you can nitpick right there. But just in general, this team is elite offensively. They're going to hope to keep that rolling here against the Diamondbacks, and they're off to a good start to it in game 1 of this series. They've already scored 6 runs. So things are definitely looking good for the Dodgers in that one. The Diamondbacks are going to be handing the ball to Jordan Montgomery, who's off to a good start. He's on 1-1 with a 2.77 ERA. He's going to be making his 3rd start of the year, but when your first 2 starts have came against the San Francisco Giants and the St. Louis Cardinals, those numbers definitely come with a big old pinch of salt. I mean, against the Cardinals, he went 7 innings, but he gave up 7 hits and 3 earned runs, so that's not an elite start against the St. Louis Cardinals, who are a very weak hitting team right now. And his first start of the year was against the San Francisco Giants, where he had absolutely no pressure because we saw the Dodgers win that game 17-1. So he pitched really well in that game, but it's really easy when you've got that kind of cushion. So looking at the Diamondbacks offense, it's definitely been regressing here pretty hard down the stretch, which is what you would have expected after that like crazy hot start. There was no way they were going to keep that up, or at least it didn't feel to me like there was any way they were going to keep that up. They're down to 6th in the majors in on-base percentage. They're 2nd in the majors in runs scored still, so they're still finding ways to get guys across the plate for sure. But in their series against Seattle Mariners, they only scored 1 and 3 runs, so a total of 5 runs over 3 games. Not great. It doesn't look like they're in for a huge offensive outburst here against the Dodgers either. I mean, obviously the game's not over, so anything can happen, but that's just not the way it's looking right now. So guys, you can go ahead and give me the Dodgers minus 108 in this one. That seems like a crazy short line. I mean, I guess the odds makers don't have a ton of faith here in Knack, but go ahead and give me Landon out there. I've got a lot of faith in him. I think he'll find a way to keep them in the game enough, and the Dodgers bats will just continue to just bash everyone they face into submission. The over-under on this game is 9.5. We see both teams with just tiny trends towards the under, but we're not really interested in that one, guys. Go ahead and give me the Dodgers minus 108. I don't know how this line is so short. If you guys have some different information, go ahead and hit me up with it, but I've got enough faith in here in Knack and the Dodgers offense to take this one every day. Changing gears here, guys, just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and look at the NBA matchups for today. We've had a lot of people down in the comments asking us to continue going over the NBA playoff matchups, so we're going to give you what we've got in this one. So first up on the docket, we've got the Philadelphia 76ers going on the road to take on the New York Knicks. The 76ers come into this game, they're down 3-1, so in a pretty much as bad of a spot as you can get into. We saw the 76ers take that 97-92 loss there in Game 3, a game that I don't really feel like deserved to be that close. We've seen Embiid getting into all kinds of shenanigans. We saw the 76ers lose that game despite the Knicks not having Mitchell Robinson out there, so that's obviously a huge deal for them. I mean, we've seen Embiid doing everything he can to like hurt opposing players or just get to the free throw line at all costs, throwing little temper tantrums out there at the three-point line. I don't know if you can tell, guys, not a big Embiid fan here. Any guy that really makes his living out of just like foul baiting or foul grifting or whatever you want to call it, flopping, not going to be my favorite guy. He did manage to get to the line 14 times and he knocked down 12 of them there in Game 4, but it was not enough. Game 4 was just dominated by Jalen Brunson. He put the Knicks on his shoulders. Nobody else besides him was really having a very good night offensively, and he just went after it. 18 for 34 from the field. Kelly Oubre can say whatever he wants, but Kelly Oubre ain't out there scoring 47 points ever. So give me a big dose here of Jalen Brunson every day and twice again on Sunday. I mean, the Knicks are only minus 3.5 in this one, so that's definitely something we're going to be looking at. Checking on the injury report here real quick for the 76ers, we're very likely to see Embiid on there, but I also think we're extremely likely to see Embiid playing in this game. He's officially questionable due to the left knee recovery, so unless there was some like special thing in there about how he was like, oh, unlikely to play now that the series is like effectively looking very close to over, maybe we could think there's a real chance that he wouldn't play, but I don't think there's any real chance that he doesn't play in this game. We're definitely going to see the Knicks at whatever their version of full strength really is. It's been interesting to see that Buddy Hield can't really make any sort of difference out there. Cameron Payne is out there talking a lot and just pulling some crazy shots. He pulled a crazy 3 that I just could not believe he would have the guts to shoot, but it's Cam Payne and he knocked it down, but despite that going their way, the 76ers weren't able to come away with the win there in Game 4. And looking at the Knicks, the injury report for them, in general, we're just hoping we can see Mitchell Robinson coming back. Technically, Jalen Brunson is on the injury report, but there's no way we don't see him play in that game. Mitchell Robinson is officially listed here as questionable with his ankle issue. So when you've got Joel Embiid rolling around on the ground and kicking you and trying to twist your ankle and make you fall and stuff like that, things can get pretty dark, but it'll be good to see if he comes back for this game. It's also unfortunate we see Bogdanovich. He's going to be out for this one. He's dealing with a foot injury, so it's better than it looked. When he went limping off the court, it definitely looked like it was going to be a knee or something terrible, but he's apparently been playing through ligament damage in his left wrist also, so he's been having a hard time out there, and now with a foot contusion, I think he's pretty unlikely to see him again in this series. He's going to be hoping they can finish things off and he can just come back for the next series. That's what we'll be hoping to see from him. But looking at the numbers for this game, we see the Knicks are minus 3.5, playing at home with a chance to close things out. Guys, I'm not going to sugarcoat it here. I'm 100% going to be on the Knicks minus 3.5. I know Philly is a decent against the spread team on the road. They're 25-8-18 against the spread playing away from home, and the Knicks are only 22-20-1 against the spread at home, but we definitely like the Knicks here in this spot. I mean, nothing really to say against them right now. They're the better team in this matchup, it definitely looks like. I know they've had to have some like comeback wins and stuff like that, and we just saw Brunson have to really play his butt off, but getting back home, we'll see some of the role players shoot the ball better. I'm expecting better things from DiVincenzo in this game, better things from Josh Hart in this one. Just overall, give me the Knicks minus 3.5. Looking at the over-under for this game, it's at 204.5. I definitely think you could take a look at the under. I think we'll see another one of those low-scoring games, but will it be low enough to go over that under that tiny number? I'm not really sure. So just give me the Knicks minus 3.5. This is definitely going to be a pinned comment play. Next up, guys, we've got a sneaky, interesting series. We've got the Orlando Magic going on the road to take on the Cleveland Cavaliers here in Game 5 of this series with things tied up at 2 games apiece. After the first 2 games of the series, everybody was ready to declare Orlando was like dead in the water and and there was really no reason to dispute that. I mean, it was a bunch of young players who had not looked good in their first 2 games, but they just came roaring back to win both of those games in very convincing fashion, playing at home. So now they're in a completely different spot. They're going to have to find some way to get a win here on the road if they want to win this series. And looking at their injury report right now, I don't think there's any major concerns. Yeah, everybody seems rested and ready to go. Nothing to report here for the Orlando Magic. So they're going to be at full strength for this game and going up against a Cleveland team who have to be a little bit concerned right now. I mean, this series has not gone the way it looked like it was going to go after the first 2 games. It seemed like Cleveland would probably cruise to like a 4-1 series win or something like that, but now it does not look like that. I definitely could see this series going 7, no problem at all. Cleveland's healthy for this game. We've seen Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland. This pairing still doesn't really make any sense, and I think we could definitely see some changes here made in the offseason. I mean, Donovan Mitchell did not look great, and the Cavs just in general looked terrible there in Game 4. They only shot 4 of 17 from three-point range in that game. They got out-rebounded by a huge margin, so the Magic have to know they can win. I feel like they've definitely got the momentum despite the fact they're going on the road in this game. So when you look at the numbers in this one, it's a little bit tough. I'm not going to be on this one in a major way, guys. This will not be a pinned comment play, but I think I like the Orlando Magic plus 4.5. I know this game's back in Cleveland. I'm expecting big things from Donovan Mitchell, but if he doesn't get enough help, I think this is definitely a spot where we can see the Magic maybe steal that game and go up 3-2 and have a real chance. Looking at the over-under in this game, we see that it's a very small number, guys. It's under 200. It's 199.5. We've seen the last couple of games be huge blowouts that would have gone over that number, so I think this will be a closer game. I tend to lead towards the under in this one, but guys, I don't know about this one. This is a tough one. Give me Orlando plus 4.5, but I think that's just more because I want them to win. In our last game here today, we've got the Indiana Pacers going on the road to take on the Milwaukee Bucks in a series where we currently see Indiana up 3-1. It's been a pretty tough look for the Bucks, guys. In Game 4, they didn't have Dame or Giannis in that one, and they kept it pretty close most of the way, despite Bobby Portis getting himself thrown out in the very beginning of the game. Like, what a psycho. Like, you just cannot put yourself in a position where that is even a possibility when your 2 best players are out. Like, this is a time for you to shine. This is a time for you to make some money. You have a huge playoff game like that, like, anything can happen, but if you get yourself thrown out, nothing good is coming down the line. Looking at the injury report for the Pacers in this one, they come into this game pretty much fully healthy. We do see Halliburton is on there, but I mean, I think we can definitely expect him to play. He's officially questionable due to back spasms, so he might not be at 100%, but I think we can definitely expect him to be out there, and he looked very, very good there playing in Game 4, so we expect Halliburton to be out there. But back spasms are a tricky thing, guys. He could be a shell of himself, or he could be there at absolutely full strength. Like, there's just no great way to know with those. Looking at the Bucks injury report, which is obviously much more important and much like more littered with problems here, we see Giannis is currently listed as out. I think there could be some outside chance he would maybe play in this game. He's officially doubtful with that calf injury. I mean, they don't want him to go out there and tear his Achilles a la Kevin Durant, so they're going to be cautious with him, I think. And even though their season is on the brink right now, we see Pat Bev is on there also, but the other more important one here is Damian Lillard. Is he going to be playing this game? With an Achilles issue, guys, he's officially doubtful also. I think it's very unlikely we see him out there. And even if he is out there, like, what kind of performance is he going to be able to give? This is just a very, very tough way for the Bucks season to potentially end. Guys, if all these dudes are out, if we see Giannis and Dame out, we're definitely going to be on the Indiana Pacers minus 3.5. That's way too close of a number if the Bucks don't have their main guys. And while I'm sure we won't see Bobby Portis get himself thrown out in the beginning of the game again, I think we'll see Milwaukee have just a terrible, terrible time out there, and the Pacers take care of business and cover that small number. Looking at the over-under, it's at 216.5. It's really tough to gauge the over-under in a situation like this. I would lean towards the over, but with so many pieces missing for the Bucks, we're definitely be leaning on them making a lot of threes for this game to go over, but that seems like a practical option going up against the Pacers, so I lean towards the over. But really what I lean towards in this game is the Indiana Pacers minus 3.5 if Dame and Giannis are sitting out. That's all the games we have for today, guys. Hit that like button for good luck on all your bets, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. Thanks for watching. You can click the link in the description to check out stumpthespread.com, and we will see you guys tomorrow for more sports betting action.